Welcome back to 11 After 9. I'm Derek, and this channel exists for one reason: to give you the honest, down-to-earth truth about buying and owning these cars. No press car spin, just someone who's owned these and, unfortunately or fortunately for you, made a lot of the mistakes that I'm hoping to save you from. And today, I'm going to say something that's going to upset some 911 owners. The mid-engine Porsche might actually be the better car. I've been working with Porsche owners for years. People figuring out their first car, people upgrading, people have owned 10 of them, but still they're not sure if they made the right decision. And I see the same thing every single time. And what is that? It's analysis paralysis. I've narrowed it down to 6 gatekeeper questions, and it's always these questions that are keeping a lot of people from putting a Porsche in their garage. So today I'm going to answer all 6, honestly. So let's get to it. Question number 1, air-cooled or water-cooled? People frame this as a soul question or an investment question. It's actually neither. The real question is actually a lot simpler. Are you a purist, or do you just want a car that starts every time and has working air conditioning? Because those two are completely valid answers, and they point you to 2 completely different cars. When you buy an air-cooled Porsche, you're not just buying transportation, you're buying an experiential machine. These cars are best for that 45-minute Sunday morning blast where the drive itself is the whole point. Every single trip feels like an event in an air-cooled car. And some of that honestly comes from the perceived hardships of having an older machine. The heavier clutch, the manual steering, that specific smell of hot oil when the engine warms up on a cold morning, that same hot oil smell permeating your clothing and you wear it like cologne for the rest of the day. Those aren't downsides. Those are exactly what makes this car memorable. You're not just driving it somewhere, you're managing a piece of Porsche history, and every mile really does mean something. Water-cooled Porsches are a different world. The early ones, the 996s, the 997s, they're often chasing that analog feeling that the air-cooled cars put on the map, a type of Porsche rawness with the benefit of a modern cooling system. But the newer water-cooled cars, the 991s, the current generations, those are the rocket ships. Fast, functional, and remarkably reliable for what they are. If you want a car that can cross 3 states at 80 miles an hour without a second thought, buy a 991. But if you want a car where the trip to the coffee shop feels like something you'll talk about all week, buy an air-cooled car. Just be completely honest with yourself about which experience you actually want to live with. Question 2. Should I get a 911 or a mid-engine car like a Boxster or a Cayman? Okay, here's the one I warned you about at the top. If you're a 911 owner, be very careful getting a mid-engine car. I mean this. The 911 is an icon. It's the silhouette we all had on our walls growing up. 60 years of engineers mastering the physics of an engine hanging off the back, and they did it. The rear weight actually adds to the driving experience in a way that's hard to explain until you actually feel and drive these cars. But then you get into a 981, a 718, even a 986 or 987, and you feel that rotation around your hips. The car pivots around you instead of just dragging you through a corner, and you start to realize something that makes a lot of 911 owners very uncomfortable. The mid-engine car might be what Porsche engineering actually looks like when it isn't handcuffed by 60 years of tradition and brand identity. From a financial standpoint, it's not even close. The mid-engine cars are dramatically more approachable. And that old hairdresser car reputation, it's gone. In a funny twist, the purist crowd has completely moved on. They're too busy arguing about whether new EVs are real Porsches to bother the Cayman guys anymore. That's left the mid-engine world as this incredible analog sweet spot for people who genuinely love to drive. But here's my warning, and it stands every time I give it. Don't buy a Cayman or a Boxster because you can't afford a 911. If that's your reasoning, you will spend every stoplight looking over your shoulder at the Carrera feeling like you settled. That feeling will ruin the car for you. But if you buy one because you actually want a precision instrument on a back road, be prepared. You might find yourself liking it more than the King. I've seen it happen more times than I can count. Question number 3. Can a 10 to 15-year-old Porsche be your everyday car? And here's the daily driver question. And the answer? Yes. But only if you have a backup plan. Here's what people miss about daily driving a Porsche. They think it just means putting miles on the odometer, and it doesn't. It means parking lot dings on a Tuesday, rock chips from a gravel truck, death by 1,000 small cuts of interior wear. Porsches are incredibly well built, but they're high-strung. If you're putting 15,000 miles a year on a 997, you're hitting major service intervals twice as fast as the weekend driver. A $2,500 service feels very different when it shows up every 8 months instead of every 2 years. But here's what I actually tell people when they ask me this question, and I mean it genuinely. None of us live forever. We're only stewards of these cars for a very short window of time, and I believe strongly that you should make the most out of every single day you have behind the wheel. There's a specific kind of beauty in sitting in deadlock traffic, looking down at the Porsche crest on your steering wheel, and you know that you're not in a generic commuter appliance. Sometimes that 20-minute, I'm just taking the long way home after a brutal day, is worth every cent of the increased maintenance costs. Life is too short to drive a boring car. You won't remember the money you're saving driving a Toyota instead, but you will absolutely remember the way the 911 felt in the rain on that random Thursday in November. Question number 4, should I get a PDK or a manual? I want to be completely fair here. The PDK is faster, end of story. In every situation, in every condition, the PDK wins the speed test. That's not up for argument. And there's a real case for it. Brutal daily commuting, any physical limitation with a heavy clutch, chasing the fastest lap time on a track, PDK is the right answer. It's a world-class transmission. But here's where it gets interesting, because the speed debate isn't actually what most people are asking. What they're really asking is, which one will make me happier? And for me, it's the manual, every time. There's a connectivity in a manual car that a computer genuinely cannot replicate. It's not about being faster. It's about feeling the vibration through the shifter, choosing exactly when to take the car deep into the rev range and hold it there, just because you want to hear the motor sing. Not because the situation demands it, just because you can. I know you can hit a sport button and have the PDK mimic that, but it's not the same. It's the car doing it for you. There's a difference between performing and being performed for. I can get more gratification per minute driving a manual car at completely normal speeds than I can from a PDK. That says everything you need to know about where the joy actually lives. Every time I'm in a PDK car, I find myself pushing harder than I should. I'm chasing the excitement I'd normally get just from the act of shifting. The manual gives it to me free at any speed. So now let's talk about the practical side of this discussion. From a dollar standpoint, a clutch replacement is manageable. A PDK failure is a completely different situation. Most dealers and shops won't rebuild them, and it's a full unit replacement north of $20,000. So if you're committed to a PDK, pair it with the turbocharged car. A 991.1 NA with a PDK can feel sluggish because that motor wants revs, and the PDK keeps pulling it out of that range. The 991.2 Turbo with a PDK feels light, playful, almost hoonish. Those two belong together. Get the NA motor, get the manual. Get the turbo motor, PDK is genuinely excellent. That's the pairing that makes sense. Question number 5, should I get a high mileage or a low mileage Porsche? I call this the box of surprises question, and this is where I push back hardest on what most buyers assume going in. I will take a well-maintained 90,000-mile car over a garage queen with 15,000 miles sitting in a private collection for 5 years, almost every single time. Sitting is the enemy of these cars. Seals dry out, bushings rot, tires develop flat spots. A car that's been driven regularly has been through its thermal cycles. Fluids have moved and the seals have stayed pliable. That pristine low-mileage example might look perfect on the lot, but you could just be delaying your discovery of everything it's been quietly hiding. And here's the deeper logic most buyers completely miss. Manufacturer's defects. Every generation of Porsche has, we'll call it boogeymen. Some generations have bore scoring, others IMS issues, head stuns pulling through, turbo failures. Think about it this way. If a car was going to have a catastrophic defect, there's a solid chance it would have surfaced by 80,000 or 100,000 miles. The high mileage car has likely already unwrapped those problems, and because the owner keeps driving it, they got it fixed. That 15,000 mile beauty, that's a very expensive box of surprises waiting to be opened at your expense. In the Porsche world, maintenance history is everything. It's really everything. I don't care about the number on the dashboard, I care about the receipts in the service binder. A thick folder of receipts is worth more to me than a shiny low-mileage car with a blank maintenance record, every single time. Okay, question number 6, and this is a good one. Should I get a base or should I get an S? Is the badge actually worth it? So I want to be fair here. I'm not going to tell you that the S isn't worth it. On the racetrack, that extra torque is very welcome. Those larger brakes matter when you're pushing, and the electronics at the higher trim exist for real reasons. But in the real world, the back roads, the tight switchbacks, the technical morning drives, there's a hidden truth about the base model that most buyers walk right past. In the base car, you can actually explore the rev range. You can use more of what the car has. You can find the limit without finding yourself at genuinely illegal speeds. And when you can use more of the car's potential, wringing it out, working for the performance, earning every bit of it, there's a specific joy in that. A joy the S quietly takes away from you by making everything too easy and too fast. In my mind, in many models, the base model is the purest expression of what Porsche set out to build. Chassis doing exactly its job before the numbers got too big for the road you're actually driving on. I used to be that guy. I was fixated on the S or nothing. But what I've come to understand is you might miss the car that would have actually made you the happiest. I've seen it happen. Someone buys an S because they feel like they should, and 2 years later, they're talking to me about the base car because the S never felt like theirs. In almost every real-world situation, first Porsche or 10th Porsche, the base model is a true driver's car. It's the honest, pure, joyful version of the brand. Don't throw it out of bed. Look, these 6 questions, they're just a starting point. What I've always come back to is this. You're not buying a spec sheet, you're buying a specific car with a specific history that's going to live a specific life with you. The questions matter. Getting honest with yourself about the answers matters even more. Getting them right before you sign anything, that's the difference between the car you love for 10 years or a very expensive lesson. If this video has helped you with any of these, that's the point of this channel. Hit subscribe and I'll keep showing up. I'm Derek, this is 11 After 9. Now get out there and drive.